Hey everyone, how's it going today? This is Junkyard TV, and as you can see, we have a dash situation going on. We're here in the 73 CUDA, and what we're going to document is a little bit of the dash panel restoration process. All started with that radio. Got a better radio in, and then once I started putting that in, started taking stuff off, I'm like, that needs to be painted. Oh, if I paint that, I gotta paint that, and so on and so forth. The only two pieces I have left are these right here, and obviously those are easy ones. It's cracked, but I kind of it cracks so cleanly. I leave it like that. It's it's such in a bad spot. Anyone who gets in the passenger side kicks it, and it breaks. So I just leave it like that, and it's kind of like a feature, not a bug, and it kind of kicks out, so it doesn't break anymore. So I'm going to leave that like that. And then all the rest is going to be done. A couple of points I'm going to show you. I got all the pieces on, already painted. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to show you the pre-install. Once I started yanking stuff out, stuff came out pretty quickly. So anyhow, let's go look at the pieces. Okay, here are all the pieces. Fully completed is the gauge bezel. Actually, it goes around this way. Yeah, whatever. It's upside down right now, but you get the idea. It looks 100% better. Of course, there are a few flaws that are gonna show. What's interesting is how I got the chrome line around the edges so perfectly. It's liquid chrome pencil, and once I get into, I'm going to show you guys the process. Once I get into doing all the letters on this, I'll show you exactly how that's done. But the one piece that I thought was crazy, well, this little animal right here, which goes directly below the radio. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws, and every single one of them are in an extremely tight spot. Ridiculous. I think that was their security for the radio theft back in the 70s. They just made it so you couldn't get this panel piece out. Anyone that wanted to steal the radio was in trouble. Conversely, this one has one, maybe two other easily accessible. All the other ones are fairly accessible. This one's a little bit tricky. We'll go into this in detail. It shows you how to do the heater control cable and get this torn apart. Not too difficult. Yeah, so 100% gonna look fantastic once it's in. I'll give you another pick once it's in. But just nothing too fancy as far as the paint. I may have to redo that inside on this one a little bit. Looks like it didn't get a coat. But basic black satin is what I'm using, and probably not exactly correct, but close enough. I've done the door panels and the kick panels and the center console in the same color about 10 years ago, and it looks really good. So I stuck with it, and can't wait to get all this stuff in there. So we're going to blip out. I'm not sure we're going to show up next, if it's going to be inside the car with some of this pieces in here, or if it's going to be with this piece right here showing you how to do the letters. Be back. We're going to start with a replacement of everything, putting the radio bezel back in. There's two screws that attach through the back. Attach right in this corner and in this corner. These are for other attachments, I believe, for the piece that goes over that. But here's what you're going to need. One of these tiny Phillips screwdrivers to make your life a heck of a lot easier. Because back here it's not so bad. You might be able, the usual stubby screwdriver might work. But when we get to this part right here where these 3 screws go in, there's really no room in there to work. So this is going to be your savior. Get one of these before you even start with the trim panel in your dash. Alright, we continue. Dash bezel's in. Radio is kind of just pushed through for now, not totally attached, but everything worked out well and easy. Alright, we're continuing the fight with this monster here. I mean, it was a real bear to take off, but Couple of notes. Looks like you definitely keep your radio in. And what I've done, I was able to barely finger tighten a screw into that corner. And what I'm attempting to do now is get these in, and then hopefully go up from underneath and tighten that up somehow. But the trick is make sure your screws are lubricated with something, and pre-tighten them in here, because you don't want to cross thread, because then it's so tight in there, and you're working on the screw blind. So definitely get some lubricant and pre-test your screws, and then it should go a little bit easier for you. Keep you posted. I've decided to cut my losses, quite literally. If you notice a little 2-second cut on that bezel, I think is going to make it slide in. That's the only corner it was catching on, and that will allow me to secure this piece under here, and up and through here with the radio out. Especially this piece down here. You just can't get at these pieces. There's 2 screws. Actually, this screw I might even forget about. There's just too many. There's 6 screws in this, and this one's in tight on this end, so we're good. And I'm going to forget about that screw. I'm going to push this in, and we're going to go for these 3. See how that goes. Alright, as the dash panel saga continues, this one was a bitch to get off, and it was a bitch to get on. I had to modify my bezel a little bit, but we're good. The paint looks good on it, and stereo is installed. So now we got to go for the rest of this. Alright, onward with the dash install. We're going to go ahead and hit up the cigarette ashtray and modify with a USB import. I just got a new one of these. The old one did not have any of this, the wiring. It just had the center plug, the positive. So I just kind of clipped it. Center's positive, and made a ground wire to go to the dash. I think this grounds out the cigarette lighter. Not sure. If anyone has an answer for me on that, let me know. But in this case, it did give me a lead, so I just created a ground wire for it. I'm just going to toss that back in real quick. Pretty basic. I mean, I'm going to take this back out at some point, sandblast it, and repaint it, but it's so easy to get it out. I'm just going to throw it back in now. Alright. I am currently the world record holder for pulling these out of the car. I mean, I fought with that dimmer switch I don't know how long, man. And finally just tore it out and tore it apart. And I have a spare one. I'm going to do a video on how to tear that apart. That's oh, sorry, that little junky thing right there. Actually, that one's not junky. It's rebuilt and it's working fine. I don't want to talk bad about it. But real simple. We got, you know, your 3 different switches you got to plug in. Basically, the trick is, I'm going to bring it back around this way. Yeah, plug it in first, and then you slide it in this way. Of course, I got my main bezel out, so it's going to be real easy. Alright, so I'm going to plug those in. Quick side note, as we install the headlamps, dimmer, wiper switches, this is the plug that goes right there. That's illuminates the AC and the heater gauges. I am replacing the old incandescent, I guess you call it, bulb with LEDs. I did this at the top on the light bar, and it worked fantastic. I mean, I got, you know, I needed that dimmer switch because it was so bright. And if you know about the lights in the CUDA, the 70s, I think all of them, 70, 74, they're just really dim to useless. So go with the LEDs, and once we get all this back together, we'll show you how that works out. Alright, the headlamp switches and the wiper switches panel is in nice and tight. Normally you'd have to put in your main dash bezel first, and then that goes in. But I'm leaving this out because I'm going to be doing some work on that clock. And also your light bar, if you're working on either one of these two things, the light bar comes out first. Just kind of gently set it up there. And here's where I got my LEDs in here, and that works out great. All right, that's about it. We're probably going to go inside at some point, and I'm going to show you how I finished up the heater control panel with the chrome highlighting on the letters. That'll be a good one. All right, be back. All right, as promised, we're going to get into the last part of the dash trim, and here we are in the really clean and organized workbench. But here you can see I did half of it, and it looks amazing. And what I had used is called liquid chrome. Actually, there's different sizes. This one's a 4mm, and this one's a 2mm. And I recommend, if you're going to do it this way, get a 1mm. The 2mm is a little bit big, and some of the, I mean, it came out fantastic. But even with the letter A and some of the letter M's, it kind of meshes in there a little bit. So let's get one real quick. And I'm just going to see you guys how I do it. I just kind of dot very carefully on the edge of the letter. And if you do get a little bit down inside on the main face of it, just take a small, one of the very ultra fine Sharpie pens, the black ones, and you can cover up, like actually right there, I just screwed up on the F. I can cover that up with a ultra fine black Sharpie, and you won't see that little flaw above the F. It's going to be, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's going to be damn close. And boy, what a difference. I mean, it's a major league difference. Here's an A. The A's are tough. You get the idea. Yeah. I'll go in there with a Sharpie and try to put a little black dot in the middle of the A to separate that a little bit. But if that's the least of my problems, I'm happy. Alright, and I messed up on the X. I'm not, you get the idea. I'm going to take my time on the other ones. I'm doing a little fast here because it's on video. But I'm going to take my time on the other ones. I already messed up twice. Fixable though. Like I said, ultra-fine black Sharpie. But here's the bigger one. And it's for the wider edge, which is pleasantly easy compared to the small letters. And not bad, as you see. So that is interesting how freaking good it looks. So I'm going to finish the rest of this, then we'll get back possibly into how to set up the cable. But that'll be back inside the car. At some point we're going to get into this. We're going to break this down here at the workbench and show you what how to fix this. This is the dimmer switch. Okay, we're going to continue with the assembly of the heater and AC switch panel. As you can see, we talked about getting the chrome on there. It looks pretty good. I mean, looks brand new. So we're done deal with that. Now we're just gonna. This is a source of confusion for some people. It goes in simply like that, but you know, common sense would tell you it would come out this way, but this is not removable, so that's not how it works. and it goes simply slides on there. There's a little post, and we have a locking mechanism somewhere here on our organized desk. And yeah, oh, there it is. I was just going to say, that's why everything disappears. Here's a little locking mechanism. You can see one part of it is bezeled a little bit, and that's the part you want to slide over while holding the pin in place. Not so easy. So we're gonna work on that for a second and be right back. It wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. It's actually a pressure washer. You press down and you're able to slide it in and out without much difficulty, and then it locks in like that. And there you have your heater cable adjustment arm in place. So that's that part of it. Let's go switch in the back. I'm going to go clean these up a little bit, and we'll be back to install this part. Next, we're going to slide in the actual switch panel. There's a part number if anybody needs that for any reason. And these cleaned up pretty well. Mine are in decent shape, so I don't have to do anything else to them. I'm not shooting for a show car. But same type of thing, you could use that chrome, that liquid chrome pencil to touch these up if you had a problem with them. So it's going to kind of drop them in gently. I find that with these delicate parts like this with tight fitting tolerances, it's best to have a hammer around. Make sure you can get pieces in where they belong. Kidding, of course. Alright, so also, yeah, my original foam piece was intact and in good shape, so yeah, I'm fortunate. My CUDA, well, has always been garaged, and I mean for the past 20 years or so, you know, the past, I don't know, I've had it since 1991, so I've been good to it and I've been bad to it. Depends on what decade you're talking about. So we're just going to screw these two screws in and go with the top switch. Okay, got the heater control switches in. It actually screws in through here, through the panel, and into the module there. So looking pretty good, pretty basic. We're going to go for the fan switch. Just attaches so, it comes in under here, and then this item will be complete except for the cable, which we'll go into once we're back outside in the CUDA. Finally, time to install the AC control panel along with the bezel, but this little clip right here postponed me. I ran around to Ace Hardware, to Home Depot, and a couple of auto parts stores, and no dice. And what this does is it fits on here, slides in on there, and then once you get the air conditioning duct in, and it slides in the other part, and it just fastens them together. Not a a hugely necessary part, but it certainly helps keep the ducting together. So if anyone knows where to get one of these, I don't even know what you call it, Z-clip, ducting clip, not sure, but we're going to go ahead and install. Actually, this one's from over there. I need a couple of these. I used one for the glove box as well, so handy little clip. Look for those when you're redoing the ducting for the AC. Okay, quick tip on the plugs in the back. You have two right here that are identical. So when you're taking this off, mark which one is what. top one, bottom one. And also, as you put this in, you have to take off your light bar and your dimmer switch and your wiper switch and all that. Once again, extending my world record holder status as far as taking this out. So there's the plugins for the bottom part. Like I said, the only tip is to make sure when you take it out, you mark which one of these two is the top and bottom plug-in. And yeah, hope I got that right anyways. Alright, once you get everything plugged in correctly, you kind of slide it up and it bolts in with a screw right there, and it goes through here. I did a little cheat because these screws are really tough to get into, so I'll show you in a second. Okay, actually before we get into that quick cheat, I am going to, almost forgot to hook up my heater cable. I was thinking I could hook it up once it's in, but it's going to be a lot easier to hook it up once it's dangling here. And the problem with this heater cable is I replaced it and it got bent all out of shape, and it didn't work for the longest time, and I will show you why that happened. Hang on a second. Okay, now that I got that heater cable on there, and you can see it's a little bit bent. I mean, it was a whole lot worse. I had to cut it, and I had to twist it around so I was able to catch on the lever, and that's the stock piece that keeps it from popping off, and then it just bolts in to the cluster right there, and it shoots out and it goes into the engine compartment where it attaches to your heater valve. And that's where we're going to go next. I want to show you what went wrong when I replaced this. It was years ago actually. Alright, into the engine compartment. Okay, the heater control cable comes out from the switch panel, runs along here, and then it comes to your heater control valve. And the problem is, some of you may be looking at this like, man, you know, my heater control valve looks nothing like that. This is an AC car, obviously. But this is the only heater control valve that I knew. I didn't know that there was a different one that came standard with the car. And this is the one that you can just replace this. You can get this at any auto parts store. They're like 50 bucks though, of course, like anything else. But what I should have done was cut the, you know, I think it was originally when you get this cable, it's too long. So the original mount was probably up in here somewhere. So that caused a problem. I didn't realize that, and I thought this would be the exact correct length from where this is mounted, and then it bent the crap out of the cable up there by the switch panel. So you know, if you have a problem or your heater control valve looks anything like this, cut your heater control valve cable at this end, and it'd be a lot more a lot easier to adapt the length of the cable here than it would be at your switch panel. And that way you should be able to have no problems regardless of where your heater control valve is mounted. So yeah, for for a couple of years I was just switching my heater on and off manually. I popped the hood and just switched the lever one way or the other. But we got that fixed during this whole update process. But there's a little problem with the heater control cable that you might run into depending on where your heater control valve is mounted. So back to underneath. Next tip is regarding the mounting bolts that this mounts to the dash with. Typically there is one of these for the screw to come in through the back, and it was really difficult to reach the screws, so I did a little modification. I just put a small hex bolt, and I'll show you in a second how I hook it up. Yeah, see how I got the bolt attached with this? Makes it a lot easier to just tighten up and loosen up. And of course the finger magnet, handy little tool, because this is also really kind of tough to get in behind. So we're going to use that to bring this bolt in through. Then we should be able to tighten them both down easily. Got to love the finger magnet. Yeah, it was just real easy to push it in through there, and now we're going to tighten it up. Alright, we got the temperature switches mounted and plugged in and installed securely. Use those tips. These are important. I mean, those screws are just gnarly to get at, and that worked really good. You hand tighten these. You don't want to go too tight and break the plastic, and it's in there nice and solid. And let's see. I'm so scared to even use this. And make sure that I'm real ginger with it because my cable isn't 100% stable. But yeah, that is guiding perfectly, and we're ready to go with the bezel. Bezel is pretty self-explanatory. Just got to make sure you take off your light bar, take off your wiper switch, and there's an attachment right there. There's an attachment here, attachment here. There's also one way up behind the steering wheel, but I think we're going to forego that one. And you see it has the built-in holes for your other screws to protrude that mount this on there. And for the chrome, I just left this off because I've been messing with this so much. I'll go back in when it's all on, and with the chrome pen as well, and it'll match that, and looking very good. And here we have the completed project. Got the lower trim in, except for the air ducting, which I'm going to wait till I get one of those clips I showed you earlier, so I can clip into the back of that properly. But yeah, man, that is a huge difference. Of course, once we get the main cluster bezel in, even that's really just going to set it off. It's going to be looking amazing. So that's it for the this part of the trim video. Hopefully the end of the trim video. It's been a long one, but yeah, appreciate it, and check us out. This is Junkyard Garage doing work on the CUDA, and we'll be back to you with another couple of videos soon.